So today we're going to get started on a crostini. Now crostinis can be made for various different food arrangements, engagements, parties, and soirees, right? So you have these little bite-sized crostinis here, and there was even a famous restaurant, which I guess wasn't that famous, right, because it went out of business, but it was in New York City, and it had a whole bunch of these toast points, crostinis, whatever you want to call them, somewhat canopies maybe, and they used to put sliced meat on there, a whole bunch of bruschettas, tapenades, roulades, and just put everything on these bite-sized pieces of bread. And I happen to think if you're going to have a party or an engagement, this is the best thing to prepare for guests because it's bite-sized, it's easy. You know, you're talking to people, you don't want to have a big bowl of pasta, you grab one of these, 2 bites, you're done, talk, move on, get your drinks, etc. So it's a great party pleaser, these types of things. But let's talk about what you need for this. Well, this is called a ficelle, and a ficelle is a French version of an Italian bread. It's much thinner. It's made with a pool starter, and it's probably the best thing when it comes to this. Like, you wouldn't use a whole big semolina loaf of Italian bread. This would just be too big. So the ficelles are various different sizes. Some are really small circle ones, some are oval like this, but you kind of get the picture. Now we're going to toast them. Now what do we toast them with? Well, in here, now you can go through putting cumin, pepper, paprika, parsley, oregano, basil, black pepper, a little bit of salt, and then you have your little mixture, your dry rub. Now with the dry rub, it's going to come some good quality extra virgin olive oil, right? We talk about on the show that there really is no difference between the green olive oil and the yellow. That really doesn't matter in the quality of the olive oil. A lot of people said it did. There's been a lot of reviews that it did, but when you go all around the world and you start talking to these olive oil makers, it's really just the quality of the olive oil and the different olives that grow on different trees. So we have what's called is our blended infused oil here with a whole bunch of different spices, dry spices and stuff like that. And you might want to take your fork and just kind of marry it around. Now if you wanted to take a step further, an infused olive oil goes on the stove for just a little bit. So for instance, if you wanted to take your extra virgin olive oil, you put it in a pot. You grabbed rosemary, thyme, fresh oregano, anything you get your hands on. You put that in there on a very slow boil, right? Because if it was a high heat, it would fry the basil, make it brown, or fry the rosemary, make it brown, and it would be completely burnt. It would change the flavor of the olive oil, it would taint it, and we don't want that. So what I recommend doing is you always leave your olive oil at room temperature, and you let your mixture sit for just a few hours. We might not get to a few hours on this show, especially if I ever shut up and start cooking, but it's a real simple process, and we're going to get started with it. We're going to take the bread on one side, and we're going to dip it, and what you end up with is a really good starting point for a great crostini. I do not dip the back of it. The reason why I do that is because your guests are going to hold it, and you don't want olive oil fingers. Bad enough there might be some olive oil under there, but you don't want to soak it. So take another thing like this, make sure you're getting everything. You want that flavor of the spices, go right down in the pan, move that there so you can see it. And don't be afraid to take your bread and move it around, because a lot of that sediment is going to get all the way down to the bottom. And keep doing it. Now, you notice I didn't throw any garlic in there. Now, why would I not throw garlic? You're at a party. The last thing you want is heavy garlic, right? I don't know, maybe you do if you're having a party with non-vampire related people. But so we're going to put that in there like that. And we're going to save this mixture because we're going to go on top of the pasta that we're going to be making too. Now, we're going to put this in the oven, 350 degrees. We're going to get it crispy. Mo, our trusted food stylist, is going to put that in there for me, please. And then when it's crispy, it's going to come out. We're going to go to the next level. Okay, the next level is putting all these tapenades and stuff that we got on it. Okay, now let's talk about the sauce that we're going to be using. So today we're going to be using Fresco Bene Amatriciana sauce, and it's a combination of, you know, when you say Amatrician, I want real pancetta in my Amatriciana. Okay, now I've went to many restaurants that could be short of disgusting putting bacon in there to try to chintz out but that's not really the proper way to make amatriciana. Amatriciana sauce is made with pancetta, and the pancetta that I like is the one with no nitrates, which is why I'm using this product. So the good thing about something like this, when you've ever come to the conclusion you can actually find something that's incredibly edible in a bag like this, which this is, we're going to throw this in there. At the same time, we're going to throw our pasta when the water boils. So let's salt the water. I don't believe I've done that yet. I'm a big fan of kosher salt. We're going to salt the water here, and we're going to wait for that to come up to a boil, and then we're going to go to the next level. Now we got these Kalamata olives. Beautiful plump olives. I mean, take a look at this. Really incredible. I mean, they are just to the touch ready to explode. Look at that. Good luck finding these. It's not easy to grab Kalamata olives that look like that, but to pit them, you're just going to take your knife and squeeze down, all the way down till you squeeze the pit. And then you're going to kind of rub it like this, right off it. And you don't even have to do much work at that point. The pit comes right out. This works for cherries. This works for any kind of olive. This works for any pitted fruit, vegetable. It works. You know, I know a lot of people like to buy these gadgets. I know people, as you can imagine, for years, gadget kings, where they got a gadget for everything. There's a pitter, there's a this, there's a that, and they got half their kitchen with stuff they're never going to use, and it takes the time away from preparing a meal. So they'll take this pitter and they'll do one at a time. You could lay 20 of these bad boys out, take them right out, and you'll be done. So though I like the invention of some gadgets, they say that the best tool in the world is your hand and a knife, and believe me when I tell you, they're right. Now we're going to take this pasta. That's how you get it out of a bag, right? Don't ever cut it in anything, just hit it down. That's why I prefer my pasta in a box, in a bag, as opposed to a box. This is tricolor fresh pasta. Spinach, carrot, and semolina. Now the beauty about working with this sauce like this is you can throw this pasta in there as well. So now it becomes a dual purpose. We got our Kalamata olives, and I think our toast is going to be ready any second. All right, let's just dice this. Now what we're going to do is take the fresh basil. Sometimes it's great sauteed, sometimes it's not. In this instant, it's going to work really good at its raw state. But remember, when you're working with basil like this, you better really chop it up, because it's amazing that if it's not minced, it's going to taste like you're eating a leaf lettuce. So make sure it's really, really chopped. They call this mincing or brunoise. Okay, we're going to take this, set that aside for a second, and when the crostinis come out, we're going to start to assemble this. We're going to take our pasta, which will be done in 9 minutes. So, right, linguine, spaghetti, 9 minutes is al dente to the tooth on boiling salted water. So we got about another 7 left in here, and then we're going to plate up. Let's get those crostinis. All right, now crostinis are ready to go. Now we're going to take this hot pan here, and we're going to assemble our crostinis. Remember this olive tapenade from these incredible olives? We're going to go down with that first. I mean, you could do anything you want here. You could take prosciutto, you could take capricola, you could take salami, you could take chopped chorizo, you could take truffle salami, you could take truffle supersada. You can take anything you want and put on these things. You could just do cheese. You want to go vegan, right? Over here is artichoke tapenade. So I've taken some artichokes, a little bit of cheese, right? And put it in a blender. Now this is just the artichoke hearts. If you're going to use the stem, it better be a good quality olive oil that it's pickled and soft. Otherwise you're going to kill your throat and probably choke to death. Artichokes are no joke unless you know how to clean them and cook them. All right, red pepper tapenade. We're going right down on top of that. Just the center. Now you see the colors popping out here? That's what it's about when you're doing these things and you're impressing people. And you don't want to be a cheap person either, and don't put a lot of stuff on the bread because you want a full mouth. So, you know, make it count. Now at the very end, we're going to take a little bit of the sun-dried tomato in olive oil, and we put that on the top. I mean, the colors are just popping here, folks. And again, what would I do different with this? I could take ricotta cheese. I wouldn't mind putting a little ricotta cheese on this. Surely I would not. But impastato ricotta, not like the ricotta that you're going to use for lasagna. That is not the ricotta I'm talking about. So there is impastato ricotta, which is used to make cannolis. It's nice and creamy. It's a different consistency. Everything is different, right? You use the application for whatever you're going to do. Our pasta's got 3 minutes. Our bag of sauce is ready. We're going to take that out. If you don't have asbestos hands like I do, then you just use the tongs. Use a pair of tongs. Got our scissor. Now what we're doing is we're going to go right in the pan with this, and when the pasta, wow, that's hot. And when ooh, that smells really good. Damn, that's good. If you take a look at this close, I'm going to explain to you what's going on besides a lot of love and experience. Pancetta, you have onions, you have red sauce, you have a whole bunch of really good things in here. Let me just... Tomato sauce, good consistency. We're gonna have our pasta go right into that al dente. We still got another minute. We're gonna let that kind of cook down a little bit. If I have to, I'll put a lid, it'll go quicker. All right, going back to over here. So the plan is gonna be, I forgot one thing, pecorino romano on here. Just a little bit, right? We don't want to change the profile of anything here. But this is good enough. It's like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory said. It's an omelet that's fit for a king or a queen. We got our long style plate. What we're gonna do is fork over this pasta. We're gonna have the bread, the crostinis. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but maybe I'm gonna have the pasta down first, the crostinis on top. Voila. All right, there's nothing you have to do with this sauce. It's ready to go. The pasta has another minute. You can strain your pasta. I usually don't. Okay? I like to take my pasta out of the water, let it drain as much as you can. We're at the al dente state right here, folks. I want to make sure that this pasta absorbs this sauce. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Do you notice that the pasta's al dente? It's definitely al dente here. This is good right here. Perfect. Nice. Now what we're going to do, remember that flavored olive oil? Not that it needs it, but it's going in there anyway just to give it some shine. Everything complements everything. Man, this really, really smells good. Now, I'm gonna go down with our pasta. This is called nests. You can make nests in your, and then kind of put them together. I don't know, it's just a neater way than to just slap it on there. I like the tricolor flavor of this. I also like the flavor of this amatrician. Now, I'm not a big fan of soaking it up with a ton of sauce. I'm not really into that. You could put less pasta in here if you want. Extra virgin olive oil. Takes the shine back out. Let's wipe the plate. Now we're going to put our crostinis. And there you have it, folks. If that isn't a meal for you as the royal family, I don't know what is, because you are royalty. This is made for you. I'm calling this the love dish, because no matter who you give this dish to, they're going to love you at the end of it. You thought there was rules in cooking? Not on this show, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy.